we saw Dyson hit 2 threes early on, had a big first quarter, and it just sort of seemed he was a lot more aggressive attacking the basket. His confidence lifted. I know he's been attacking a lot more. If you take the 3-point shooting out, he's been actually, attacking a lot. But it just felt once he got those first couple down, that did add an element to his offensive mindset. Do you think there's something there that can really be unlocked that we're just starting to scratch the surface?
Yeah, I don't agree actually. Sorry. I think he just had a really good game. And the way that they played, their aggressiveness and their pressure. What I saw is him just getting in the paint and driving the ball. I will say, the thing that I liked about that is he had 5 attempts. That I don't know that his aggression on the offensive end is contingent upon him shooting threes, but I do like the fact that he's being more aggressive. He'd probably be able to answer that better than me. I don't want to speculate.
Coach, Memphis obviously dealing with a lot of injuries, but one guy, Ty Jerome, has been on a per-game basis been a very dynamic playmaker and scorer. Kind of had a breakout season with Cleveland last year. What have you seen on tape that makes him so dangerous to cover?
Yeah, I mean, he's just a really good player. He's able to score a lot of different ways, so it's hard to guard him. Range, being able to shoot the 3 off the dribble makes him unique in pick and roll. Mid-range, I think he's got an array of things he can do when he does get in the paint, whether it's floaters or, and then I think he also puts a lot of pressure on you to not foul him. So I think you have to guard him, multiple times in a possession, and the chances of you making a mistake doing that are greater. And then he's effective in all those areas I just named, in addition to being able to pass the ball. So he's really playing well, and as you said, I saw a lot of that, in Cleveland last year, and it's glad to see he's healthy.
Coach, obviously plenty of defensive guys on the Hawks, but I'm curious for you with Nikhil and Dyson and just their ability to switch and anchor the defense. What's that like for you to be able to coach 2 of those guys who are just elite defenders?
Yeah, I think we have 2 elite defenders, and then we have a lot of guys that need to play team defense. I think Dyson and Nikhil separate and are able to do things that other guys can take advantage of if they're solid. We don't have rim protection. The other guys on the court, I think, have embraced being more shifted in a more of a kind of a connected concept. Sometimes I think with Dyson and Nikhil, sometimes it's easy to think they got it and and not really do your job. But the thing that I think, in addition to them being, we like to keep their matchups when we can, but for us having confidence in the other guys too, I think the other players in our team, are gaining confidence in their ability to defend on the perimeter, and you see that when they're more aggressive, and that means someone else behind them, be it Nikhil or Dyson or anybody, has their back, so to speak. But I think really the biggest thing that our team has done defensively, and Dyson and Nikhil generated, is we've just been more, we've taken more ownership of the defensive boards. And for us, that's not someone, sometimes you see it with Jalen, but a lot of times it's because O's blocked out his guy. But we've got a lot of guys that are taking ownership of their specific matchup on the glass, the same way that Dyson and Nikhil do, on the perimeter.
Sorry. I know 11 games left, and you're just focused on Memphis tonight, but I am curious, do you guys look at the standings? Do you talk to your team about the standings sitting in 6th place right now?
I don't think you have to talk about it, unless you were to talk about the fact that there's 2 games between 6th and 10th. Yeah. So I don't think it's, not that I don't, we want to win, and I'd love to, as high as we can get in the seed, the grade. the better. You know, and to your point, every game is important. That's how you accomplish that. Our guys are aware. You know, that we don't have to talk about those things right now because, you know, 11 games is a lot of games when there's so few games separating those teams. So I think you know, there are certainly games that impact, you know, the standings more than others, particularly if you're playing one of those teams. But I think right now our focus on, you know, playing the way that we need to play, you know, defending, you know, sharing the ball, you know, our execution. So those are the things that I think, regardless of what the standings look like, it's our best chance to finish strong in the standings as well.
She kind of stole my question, but to follow up, with this like 6-car pileup between 5 and 10 in the East, does that kind of put almost a weight on these games, like like more than a normal regular season game, when it's the difference between maybe a road play-in game or being in the field?
Yeah,
just one game.
I think every game's like that because it's literally impossible to tell with that 6-car. That's actually a good metaphor. You just don't know. Like I can't rattle off Orlando, you know, Miami, Toronto, like all their schedules. And so some of that, you know, I know who we play, but you know, a lot of things. You start doing that and you say, well, they should win that game or they won't win that game. That's the quickest way to be wrong. And ultimately, the thing that we can control is our games. So I think if our focus stays there, you know, those other things, you know, they are what they are and we don't have any control over them. So I think it's important to keep your focus on your specific games, and that means every game. You know, like they all count the same. So that's what we're trying to do.
When the game is done and you're back in the coach's room, you guys scoreboard watch at this point?
You know, people are aware. Again, we're aware of the scores, but it's not like the NCAA tournament when someone loses a game and their season's over. So certainly it impacts, but no different than, I don't know, we were 10th a couple of weeks ago. You know, we won a bunch of games and we were still 9th. Like, so again, there's so many things, and we were controlling what we can control. So now, you know, to be honest with you, it's easy to fall. It's a fun exercise. Like we're not unaware of it, but again, you know, anything that takes away from our focus on Memphis tonight is not where we need to be looking. So to your point, you know, after the game, in my mind, your focus goes to the next game because that's what you want to be prepared to do. Whether that's getting your rest, getting healthy, getting shots, you know, all those things. So that said, are you aware of the scores? You know, of course.
When you have someone like Jalen out or guys in and out of the lineup, and then you have someone like a Moge come in and impact the game the way he did last game, or Zachary Richichet and some of the bench guys, what does it mean for going forward for you and this team as you look potentially towards the playoff or playing whatever it is? If guys are in and out, and you know that you can rely on guys to be always ready.
Well, it's a good question. I think we're in the playoffs already, like in my mind. You know, like this is a 7-game series, and I think we're 2-1 in this beginning of the 7 game, and you know, hopefully we win in the 7 game, and then we have another 7 game. I think that's a really good way to look at it, and what that means is it could be a different guy every night, based on who's available. As you mentioned, with JJ being out, with the minutes that Mo gave us, based on a matchup. So we need to approach these games the same way you would a playoff game and a playoff series. And I think for our guys to have that mentality is really a good thing. That's the urgency, and that's why the focus is so important. And that's why the selflessness is even more important, because, you know, different players are going to have opportunities at different times on different nights, and that's the way the playoffs are.
Thanks, Coach.